Hi everyone, my name is Incha and welcome to the second episode of Trauma Lecture Series. In this episode, we're going to talk about complex trauma. We're going to try and understand what complex trauma is. Every person is unique and is on their own journey with a countless number of experiences that are true only to them. Same goes for trauma. Each person experiences trauma in a different manner. The term trauma is heard by many of us, but we hardly know what exactly it means or implies. When someone talks about trauma or shares an event that was traumatic for them, the first thing that might come to mind is that this person is going through PTSD or post traumatic stress disorder. It is a condition which is usually visible in or affects war veterans and survivors of car accidents or natural disasters or isolated acts of violence inflicted on them. However, this occurs when only one awful or terrible incident happens. Then there is complex trauma. This is in a response to chronic traumatization over the course of a month or even a year. For instance, any type of abuse or bullying or neglect, domestic violence, or living in a war zone, which gives rise to adaptive responses. Individuals going through complex trauma feel like people don't care about them, or that they will be let down, or might be attacked all of a sudden. They start to think that they deserve the bad things happening in their life, that they don't deserve to be loved. One feels absolutely helpless and hopeless, and it doesn't get any better on its own. That is why the term complex is used to describe this form of trauma, due to its intricate and complicated nature. Complex trauma affects every individual differently. When an adult experiences a traumatic incident, they are better equipped and are able to understand what is happening to them, whereas children don't possess such abilities or experiences. For them, as their brain is developing, going through severe trauma could interrupt the entire course of their psychological and neurological development. They start to develop negative thoughts, emotions, and beliefs about themselves and the world. Living with this constant stress, young people might harbor uncomfortable feelings, may have a hard time forming healthy relationships, or imagine a better future for themselves. Complex trauma can make anybody feel confusing, unhappy, stuck, irritated, impatient, frustrated, hopeless, lost, or unsafe. It can damage healthy development and can cause unseen problems and difficulties that a child faces years later. Complex trauma works or occurs in such a way that many people don't even realize that they are struggling with it, as most of what they experience is invalidated and discredited. Living with so much pain and not knowing why could be very discombobulating. So, how do we help in making things better? What are the ways or steps one can take as coping mechanisms? There are only a few healthcare professionals who understand complex trauma. The DSM 5, that is Diagnostic Statistical Manual, used by all the psychologists, does not contain proper information about complex trauma. They look at the individual displaying the symptoms of complex trauma and try to treat the symptoms rather than focusing on the root cause. Individuals with complex trauma, especially young people who grow up in an environment where they are in constant danger or are mistreated, they develop methods of dealing with things which help them survive. The many different ways in which trauma can occur are domestic violence, natural disasters, serious injuries or illnesses, loss of the loved ones, living in war zone, physical abuse, or sexual abuse. There are various methods one can use to cope with stressful experiences. Things people can do to relieve stress, decrease tension and anxiety, to make their bodies feel more comfortable and in control. People try to intentionally use strategies to cope with stress by practicing certain skills which might help in reducing their distress and shift their energy to a more comfortable and pleasant level. Then there are times when their instincts, their impulses automatically take steps to change the way they feel about a situation. The trauma reminders or triggers that can make people going through complex trauma feel like their troubles are too big for them, and that they are all alone and that no one cares. It's okay. Rather, it's only natural to be thrown off course when something bad happens in life. Not knowing what to do in hard situations does not mean that you are weak, messed up, or bad. It only goes to show that you're human and that you don't have to go through all this alone. Anyone going through trauma, not just complex, might require help from others at any point in their journey. Aside from therapy, there are many other coping mechanisms that can make things better. For instance, creating a safe space, being safe by recognizing unsafe situations, anything that makes you feel attacked or unsafe, leave them. Try to exit such situations as safely as possible. Individuals who have been repeatedly exposed to vulnerable situations may feel like they have no safe space, but there is. Ask yourself what makes you feel safe, what helps you reduce or replace the negative thoughts, and work with people who you trust to help you understand your body and mind. The second one is recognizing triggers. Another way is trying to recognize the triggers. What makes you feel unsafe and confused, what you are feeling when you are feeling it, and then try to communicate with a trusted friend or anyone you feel safe sharing your experiences with. This can be done by building healthy relationships with your siblings or peers or any other person you might trust. Decide which relations you are worth working on and which ones are acting like triggers. Complex trauma is a coping mechanism, a survival strategy that people develop due to the repeated exposure to unsafe and abusive environment. No one should feel hopeless or helpless when there are people and communities ready to support and help you in any way they can. Everyone deserves to feel safe in their own body and mind. They deserve to be reached out to and be helped in steering through, even in their darkest and toughest moments. I hope this was helpful for you, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you so much.